Welcome back to News Channel 5 Plus. I'm Casey Mason, and joining me tonight on Open Line Ask the Expert is our expert, Amy Kelly from Creekside at Three Rivers Assisted Living with Memory Care. Are we having fun tonight, Amy?
I'm having an awesome time.
We always enjoy our conversation with you guys when you come to visit us. We talked about a lot tonight, kind of breaking down the differences between what assisted living is versus memory care, how they're different, how they're similar, and just all of the amazing amenities and features and care that you guys offer. Lots of wonderful professionals out there, you being one of them. And you're the person that if you need more information, give this girl a call, go visit. She even encourages you to swing by without booking an appointment, just to show that you guys really do stand by your word and take pride.
I definitely would encourage you all to come by for a tour. You can call me at 615-895-3002 anytime to schedule a tour or to ask questions. You can also visit our Facebook page. I highly recommend that. We have put a lot of pictures up throughout the day with our activities and videos and things like that, so it really gives you a true representation to what we're doing in the community.
I didn't know you guys had all that on your Facebook. That's wonderful.
Yeah, we're a very active Facebook page.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure loved ones at home are happy to see that as well. Yeah, you guys are always doing something at Creekside. We'll talk about those activities and my favorite, the food, coming up here in just a minute. I believe we have Michael on air right now. Hi, Michael. What's your question for us tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I love the commercial part of this show. I mean, I watch your open lines all the time. I call in a lot. And to me right now, it seems more like a commercial for the assisted living place that she's at. I would like to know more about other assisted living places. And she says, you know, they would refer you to another. What are some other good assisted living places? And what is the difference between their place and these other places? All
right, Michael, thanks for the question tonight. So he's putting you on the spot. He said, I want to hear about other places.
Well, it's depends on where you live, Michael. There are communities everywhere. I know in Murfreesboro there are at least six communities that you can choose from. Every community has its own personality, its own style. Again, it's really hard to say what's a good fit for you until I sit down and talk to you and learn more about what your needs are. I know there are newer communities that are larger, you know, it feels, you know, like a hotel, things like that. So some people love that, but some people want to come into a community and it be all one story and everything's in a square or a circle, and that's what they want. They don't want to have to go on an elevator. They don't want to have to walk 10 minutes across a big campus to get to the dining room. So it's really hard to tell you what the differences are between the communities and where they're at. I would recommend Google. I think Google is everyone's best friend. If you just type in assisted living and the town that you live in, then they should pop up. You could also visit your local senior center. They have resources as well available to you. And then also your local chamber. If I know the Murfreesboro or the Rutherford County Chamber has a book full of the communities that are the assisted living communities in the area for all of Rutherford County. In Davidson, there are a lot. I couldn't even begin to tell you all of them. But I would recommend using the internet, maybe the senior center, also go into the chamber to see if they can help you as well.
And I will say you all are the first to, you know, really make sure that whoever is reaching out to you finds what fits their needs the most. And this isn't, you know, any sort of endorsement. I want to remind folks that the name of the show is Ask the Expert. So if we do dive deep into what Creekside offers, that's what the show is all about, because you are an expert on where you work, where you live. And so that's kind of why we go into so many details about Creekside and what you guys offer, because you are the expert at Creekside. So that's why we can hear you talk about it all night long. So yeah, let's kind of get back into more about Creekside, and that is that, you know, let's say that you are looking to relocate to Creekside, and you're kind of wondering about, okay, I've got this home I've lived in for all my life with my family, my husband, and how do we go from living in that home to what feels like downsizing to these apartments? Tell us about how that really works for people.
Right. That can be a huge shock. When I can't tell you how many families tour and they'll say, oh, my mom has lived in this house for 25 years, there's stuff everywhere, she's not going to want to get rid of anything. And I always say it's key to remember, think when you go visit your mom, does she stay in 1 or 2 rooms in the house? Most of the time that is the case. They may go to their room and sleep, but then other than that, they're in the living room and maybe the kitchen to get something to eat. So they're not utilizing the house like they once were utilizing the house. The hardest part is selling all of those belongings or getting rid of the belongings. That is something that is hard for anyone to do. You get attached, you have sentimental value with things. So that is probably the hardest part. When you come to a community, every assisted living has different floor plans, different apartments, things like that. I know about Creekside, we have studio, 1-bedroom, and 2-bedroom apartments. Those are great size apartments. It just depends on what some of our residents don't want a lot of space. They don't plan on being in there that often. And some of our residents want a 2-bedroom apartment because they want to keep their bedroom furniture, and then they want a spare bedroom or a hobby room. They want a separate living room for when visitors come. So it just depends on their needs and their wants. I would say even in a community, whether you're at Creekside or anywhere else, every assisted living strives to keep those residents out of their room. We want them out doing activities. We want them involved in the community. We want them on outings. So hopefully, fingers crossed, and I can say for our community it's this way, they don't spend a lot of time in their apartments. So really the space isn't as big of a priority as it once was.
Tell us a little bit about how you go into having that conversation with a loved one, just kind of opening the door up to, I think maybe mom, dad, we may be ready for assisted living, and it can be something that is hard to approach. What's your advice, being our expert tonight here? What is your advice on that?
I would say that's a hard conversation to start. A lot of times it really needs to, the resident or the future resident, they need to feel that that idea came from them. Most of the time they don't want to be pushed into that. I can give you a personal experience with my grandfather, who moved into an assisted living in Cookeville last year in March. We had been talking about this to him for over a year. He had a home with the washer and dryer in the basement, was not safe. He's turning 90 in April, so he lived there for a very long time. He had a lot of memories in that house. What it took for him was that he just wasn't able to get around as much. We kept talking about it. We kept talking about it. I think that's key, is to continue to talk about it. Bring them for a tour. I think the great thing is we've had several future residents come for lunch. Schedule a time to come in, have lunch, meet other residents, maybe stay for an activity. I think that really makes them feel like it's home, makes them feel part of a community, and they get a better sense of what it's going to be like when they live there. But I just say communication's the key. Continue to talk about it. Maybe even take them brochures, the family tours themselves. Take a few brochures from different communities you think they may like, and encourage them to come in and visit.
Are you all ever a part of that conversation?
Yeah, sometimes we are. I've definitely have had family members bring in their loved ones to tour for the first time, and they're very resistant. But what I do is I try to talk about all the great things that are going to happen while they're here, all the friends they're going to make. I show them our activity calendar and all the outings that we have scheduled for the next few weeks. I introduce them to residents as we're walking through the halls. So I really try to make them feel comfortable. I think a lot of it is fear. They're scared to leave what they know. So I think that's important, just to make them feel comfortable.
I think that's a big question a lot of people do have, is how do we have this conversation? How do I, even approach this topic with someone that, you always took care of you your whole life, and now the roles are starting to reverse a little bit. And, that's something why I love when we have you guys on this show. Again, it is called Ask the Expert. If you are sitting at home watching this tonight and maybe you have other questions along those types of topics, whether it's, how about, here's one, signs to look for. Go ahead and tell us about those, Amy.
Signs to look for would be those ADLs that I was talking about earlier. So that's activities of daily living. So when your loved one is not able to get out of bed like they used to, or they're falling a lot, that is a huge sign. They're losing weight because they're not eating 3 nutritional meals a day. They're getting depressed because they're not having socialization. They're withdrawing from family activities, and that's a sign of depression. So those are all things to look for when it might be time to move into a community, because all of those things are addressed when you live in assisted living. You're socializing, you're getting meals, you have the availability to have a nurse pass your medications, things like that, that might be forgotten when you live at home by yourself.
It's almost spring. It's trying. It's trying out there. We were talking about this when you first showed up tonight. We can't decide, is it warm out? Is it cold? We just don't know right now, which is definitely that time of year. So let's kind of talk a little bit about springtime and assisted living, some of the fun activities that you guys obviously have coming up. And there's always something going on at Creekside.
Well, for every holiday, we have some kind of activity. We have an Easter egg hunt. We're planning a summer solstice. I can't say the hard word. Solstice. We're planning a big party then. I'm trying to plan a big health fair in June to bring the residents out in the community. We're planning barbecues and luau's and things like that to get residents outside. Actually toured a family today, and that was a huge thing for them. They want their dad to be able to go outside and just get some fresh air. And we do a lot of, our residents actually requested to start a gardening club. So they have recently planted spices and herbs in little pots, and they're going to put them out in our raised garden. So they're raised for a reason, so that they don't have to bend over. Wheelchairs can easily get up to them. But they're going to transfer those things to the raised gardens, and actually our kitchen will use them. So they're very excited about that. So we're trying to do a lot of things to get them out and about in the fresh air. We do a lot of exercising outside when the weather gets nice. So we really try to keep them out.
And it's those types of activities that you all provide that actually give someone more independence than I think they even realize. They almost were giving up when living at home. It's almost as if you give them their quality of life back, in a way, would you say?
Right. They don't know what they're missing until they have it back.
Well said. Yeah. So, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. It happens all the time where they don't realize how isolated they felt. And it's common, I see all the time, usually women, it's usually a widow who comes in and their spouse passed away 3, 4, 5 months ago, and they've just been so isolated, and it's sad. And when they get to the community, they just thrive. My grandfather was the same way. He thrived. He's turning 90 and he looks like he's 70, so he does activities, he's always involved. So it's, for a family on that side of things, it's such a blessing to see that. It's so exciting to see them active and happy, and we didn't see that when he lived at home.
Definitely. So 90 is the new 70, I think. Is that the saying now? It really is, yeah. So obviously, Amy is the Marketing Community Relations Director at Creekside. But Amy, aside from being a Creekside member, you really are just someone who is just well-versed in assisted living, memory care. So tonight's show is really about getting free advice. You can call in, the phone's right here. Anytime you've just wondered about really peeking behind the curtain at what assisted living is all about, whether it's Creekside or any other facility we're talking about tonight, it's just about getting any advice you want from Amy. So we're kind of getting to the tail end of our hour here, so I want to encourage you to go ahead and give us a call. And if you can't call in tonight, that's okay. Give Amy a call at Creekside sometime this week.
Please do, yeah.
You're always excited to talk to people.
I am.
And that's really what tonight's show is all about, any advice. And I think it's just so wonderful that you you're able to, maybe someone that's tuning in right now didn't know how to maybe approach a loved one about that conversation, and you gave us some advice on that as well as many other things tonight. So, well, we'll keep it right here. We'll be right back here on News Channel 5 Plus Open Line.